So in Chao Duc, on the Mekong River, for my second assignment ever on the Mekong, 1972 to 1974, I was there when the Paris Peace Agreement was signed in January 1973. It would be difficult to overstate the sense of joy that flooded through all of our Vietnamese employees, in fact, all of the Vietnamese that we knew. The war, the agreement signed in Paris between Henry Kissinger and Le Duc Tho also involved the South Vietnamese government, the Viet Cong, appeared to be genuine. It would be the end of the war. Suddenly, these decades and decades of war that had taken so many lives, had caused so much suffering, it was going to come to an end. And it was at the same time as this was signed, January 27th, that we're also celebrating the Vietnamese Lunar New Year, Tet, as it's called. And Tet is a time of feasting and families gathering together, of celebration, of renewal. And so peace is at hand, as President Nixon and Henry Kissinger would say, and Tet combined to make our employees euphoric. I still remember the celebration, singing, they're dancing. We Americans are there sort of joining in as well, and their hopes and their aspirations and their belief about what the future would be like was incredible. And thus the American military withdrawal began in this heightened sense that everything was now going to be okay. And yet, 2 years later, in April 1975, those employees would be escaping on boats, rushing down the Mekong River, hoping to make it out into the sea. Saigon has fallen, and communism was sweeping across the country. I began there with that memory. I would be there through 1974 when a plane landed with my orders transferring me back to the National Security Council at the White House. And yet it was always with that memory, with those hopes, those expectations, which were then crushed under the weight of the North Vietnamese military conquest of the South and the imposition of communism, all the sacrifices made by Americans, all the many, many sacrifices made by South Vietnamese troops, including my own brother-in-law, all would be for naught. Freedom would be lost, and with it would be great suffering for those who are not able to escape.